Welcome back. How about some Monday motivation for us this morning? Certified neurolinguistic practitioner Boluwatife David is joining us. He is the founder of the Focus Life community and convener of the Focus Life Summit, and also the creator of the Focus Code. He's here to talk to us about the move from living either the floating or the flustered life to living a focused life. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, we started this conversation last week, and
Yes, we did.
we're now moving probably deeper into talking about the focused life, because I think for many people, it's the beginning of the year. They're thinking about how they're going to achieve so many things for the year, but sometimes you can get discouraged because you start out with a lot of energy, but you need this kind of motivation to show you the direction to go. But let's just go over what we discussed last week and then going deeper into making that move into living a focused life. So you talked about the flustered and the floating life.
So the floating life, the flustered life, and the focused life. And I give a bit of background as to what each of those lives mean. The floating life is somebody that is just moving with the tide. They have no clue as to what they're really doing. They have no drive in themselves and all of that. Yep. So that's pretty much what the floating life is. The flustered life is somebody that, has got to that point where he understands that there's something about me, and then they are trying everything. It's like, for them, most of the time, they're like that person that is drowning and it's just babbling inside the water, just trying to keep their heads up. So they have a lot of activities in their lives, but they have little results to show for it. Now, the focused life, however, is that person that understands the purpose of his life. He sets clear goals that are clear to him and is deeply motivated towards achieving them. Now, after explaining each of those three lives, I now move forward to explain that the reason why people get trapped in the floating life or the flustered life and unable to move into the focused life is because of three major things. And I explained that the first thing is the fact that people lack clarity. They don't know the what. For the people that know the what, they don't know the how. For the people that know the how, they don't know the why. So because they lack answers to these three critical questions, they are unable to pathfind. So they find themselves just floating through life, And then the second thing I said that causes people being in the floating or flustered life is the fact that people are being held hostage by, past experiences, other people's experiences, the comments and feedback from other people around them that has made them to believe that even though they desire a particular kind of life, they don't necessarily have the fortitude or the strength to create those things. People that are held hostage is like that person that a bell or a big stone is tied to their legs, even though they desire to move, but that thing is holding them back. And then the third thing that I said keeps people in the floating or flustered life is people that are actually victims of robberies or theft. And I said it last week.
That you talked about the different kinds of stealers.
Exactly. So for some, it is Netflix. For some, it is WhatsApp. For some, it is Instagram. We have a lot of things. In fact, for some people, it is their best friend. I call these people accomplices. For every goal you want to achieve in life, you either have accomplices or enablers. Accomplices are those things within your space that makes it a lot more difficult for you to achieve your goals. Whereas enablers are those things within your space that makes it easier for you to achieve your goals. So for some people, the things that are thieves in their lives are actually a lot of accomplices that makes it difficult for them to achieve their goals.
Yeah, it's. I know we've talked about this a little bit, and you talked about the fact that you can move from the floating or the focused life into
living the focused life.
Living the focused life. But would you agree that there are certain people who, maybe by virtue of their makeup or by virtue of what they studied, for instance, if I'm a surgeon, if I went into surgery, and I'll probably have a focused life because I know that this is what I was born to do, and
not necessarily,
in large part. So, are there people who you feel have a greater propensity to live a focused life than others who maybe are a bit chilled, a bit laid back, or maybe they're artsy in their own predisposition and all of that? What's your opinion?
I think one of the of course, there are some people that by virtue of the environment in which they grew up in, the different things that has conditioned them to be focused. Maybe by virtue of the parents they had and all of those things. Some people that have been told that they have the capacity to do so much more and they've believed it. So by virtue of upbringing, for some people, they are already positioned to live a focused life. Whereas for some people, by virtue of the environment they grew up in, which is what I talked about when I was talking about some people that have been held hostage, you know. So yes, truly, for some people, by virtue of some environmental circumstances, upbringing, parental and peers, they have been positioned to live a focused life. But that is not because they studied a particular kind of course. Because you bear me witness that you would know one or two doctors or surgeons that, hey, their life is not so great, even though they studied a great course. You know, even though they studied a professional course, their life isn't so great. And yet there is somebody else that even dropped out of school that is doing an amazing work with his or her life. You know, there's this particular story of a particular guy that came to Lagos, slept under the bridge for a while. And this guy, I think he runs about the biggest tech initiative in Tech Point or something. You know, when I heard his story, it's a story of somebody that lived a focused life regardless of the environmental conditioning. So, true, some people, by virtue of the environment they grew up in, can do better than some other people. But hey, at the end of the day, we all have to come to that point of saying that, see, I need to move myself forward consciously.
So it's almost like a personal responsibility.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
Of course, what we want to even start drilling down into is that movement, that shift.
Which is what I really want to talk about now. So, you know, when you were talking about my bio the other time, you said I created something called the Focus Code. It's actually a training solution that I created for corporate organizations, but individuals can also deploy in their lives. And for me, the Focus Code is actually that template that can make anybody move from whatever kind of life they are living to becoming a focused person. And the Focus Code is actually an acronym for a number of things that we need to do. The first thing, F, stands for freedom. The number of things we need to free ourselves from. O stands for organization. There are a number of organizations you need to put around your life. C stands for culture and cultivating. U stands for understanding, and S stands for state. And I'm going to run through these things short.
I hope that we'll have enough time for that. But yeah, let's start with F. So F, freedom.
I think no. So because of time, I will switch it up a bit and start with U, because U is actually the strongest and the most important in all of those.
Which
things,
is understanding.
Which is understanding. So when it comes to becoming a high performer, a focused person, the place to start from is understanding yourself. Now, what kind of person have I become as of today? Because the truth of the matter is that we are all on a journey of becoming. Who you are today is not who you are essentially. It is who you have become by a number of factors. So I need to be able to sit down and ask myself that question. Who have I become? And when I talk about understanding, there are three major things I actually need to understand. Personal system, performance system, and then organizational system. But I'm focusing more on personal system because of our time. So, you know, some people say, oh, because I'm Pisces, I'm Cancer, and they use all of their horoscope signs. They begin to tell us that these are the things I can do, these are the things I cannot do. Who is that person that says to you that because you're a Cancer, you cannot have some things in life? You know, people place all of these kind of leads upon themselves.
So put a cap.
Exactly. And because of that, they cannot unleash the potential they have. They cannot pursue some things. They just believe that, hey, because of this and this, I have been automatically disqualified for some kind of life. And that is a lie. You know, so the way to start moving is to first of all say, who have I become?
And then understanding
that person so that you can now move.
Wow, you know. That's amazing. Some good motivation there. Boulevard Tife David joining us this morning once again and providing some direction for us. And you require focus if you're going to really, really succeed in this year 2020. Thank you so much for joining us. And hopefully you're going to be with us again. Let's go over that focus acronym there.